everybody. My name is Eric McLeod, and you are listening to Low Blow Radio podcast. Giving you another bonus episode this week. I'm going to talk about AEW Dark, episode 44. It is July 28th, 2020. Man, we had 12 matches on this card, so let's hop right into it. Plenty to go over, so I'll give you the blow-by-blow here as quickly as I can. We opened up with the FTR taking on the newly named Initiative, which is Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon's team. Before we even get to the match, really enjoyed this name. I think that works perfect for Brandon's D&D character mixed with the librarian character of Peter Avalon, which we haven't really seen much of lately. So, if they start bringing that sort of gimmick back for him more, I'm totally down for that. And them working as a team here as the Initiative. It will be fun to see down the road. I'm going to try not to cover too much for each match here because there's plenty to go over. So the sort of story of this match, like most of the Initiative's matches lately, has just been, they're just fighting hard for that win, working a little better as a tandem team here, not having Avalon go for the cheats and that kind of stuff. Certainly showed that they're willing to work together and be more on the page that Brandon wants to be on here. But unfortunately, in this match, it just wasn't quite enough. The FTR looked just a little too devastating, a little too hard, and a little too much to deal with. They finished the match with a spike pile driver, their classic Brainbusters finisher, their nice 7-minute opener here that we had. And yeah, speaking of the Brainbusters, always the tease with Tully sitting in the audience. You never know what sort of four horsemen teases they have afoot here in AEW, but plenty to get your palate wet and think about what could happen in the future. Gets them ready for whatever's next for the FTR when they get ready for the tag titles. So coming up next, we had Pineapple Pete tagging with Michael Nakazawa taking on Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. This is another star-studded tag match, more of the comedy stylings you get from Nakazawa, working with Pineapple Pete. Doing some of the oil stuff together was really fun. The fact that Pineapple Pete had brought his own baby oil as well showed that they were definitely on the same page for this match. They did a kind of slip and slide into, I think it was Sonny Kiss, which was fantastic, where I think Pete had sort of greased up Nakazawa's back and then his chest so that he sort of slid off his back into a somersault onto Kiss. A lot of fun sort of funny stylings from Pete and Nakazawa here, and then just a hard tag team from Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. They get the win with the split drop from the top rope from Sonny Kiss. Quick little 5-minute match, which we got a lot of here tonight on Dark. But again, it gets Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela again a win for their tag team. Keeps them strong, keeps them ready for whatever's next for that tag team. So excited to see what happens there. Up next, we had Abaddon taking on Skyler Moore. This is our, I think, third appearance now of Abaddon, and man, she just always hits it home with the gimmick and the look and everything else. She definitely has that aesthetic down pat here, and Skyler Moore was no slouch. She certainly gave it to her in this match for sure. But I mean, the commentary, of course, were just very fixated on how creepy and scary the look of Abaddon is, and it works great. I'm excited to see what's next for her and how they sort of choose to work her into the women's tag team tournament that's coming up soon. There's plenty of story, I think, to tell with Abaddon there, where she can sort of play off the other women, if they're scared of her, not sure who she's going to team with, and then maybe eventually finds that perfect partner. We'll have to wait and see. Up next, we had the Dark Order taking on Will Hobbs and Shawn Dean. We haven't seen Will Hobbs and Shawn Dean tag before, but I'd like to see it again. These two seem to work well together. We didn't see much of Will Hobbs in this match because the story seemed to be more of getting the Dark Order's destruction over as they kind of worked Shawn Dean for the most part. But it was what to be expected in this sort of match, setting up the Dark Order for their big title match with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page on Dynamite. So I think, it gets another big win for the Dark Order, keeps their offense looking strong, and keeps them looking like a challenging contender there in the tag team division. So excited to see what happens when they go for the tag titles on Dynamite. Up next, we had Corey Hollis taking on Scorpio Sky. Scorpio becoming kind of a staple here on Dark over the last little while. And if they don't necessarily have a story for him on the main roster, then again, this keeps keeping him getting wins, getting his singles career kind of going. And if that's the kind of momentum they want to have going into the furthering of Scorpio's character, I'm all for that. So Corey Hollis giving him a real kind of old school style match here, but it was the main story was Scorpio being able to set the pace. I mean, this guy's, I think Excalibur said it best. He's like butter. He's on a roll right now. He was hitting on all strides, all calibers here for sure, or all cylinders for sure we're hitting. Definitely great for Scorpio Sky. Looking big, looking strong. Corey Hollis had a few kind of hope moments, but definitely the pace. He just couldn't quite keep up with Scorpio Sky. Up next, we had the women's division being represented again with Penelope Ford taking on Kenzie Page. We've seen Kenzie a few times here, both on Dynamite and on Dark, so she's starting to develop a little bit more of a character here. Definitely one of the younger talents they have, so good for her to get some experience for sure. A little more slow paced from what we've seen from Penelope lately, but maybe that's more due to opponent than matchup itself. She took a little bit to kind of get going, but Kenzie Page was really strong-willed, really trying to keep things together in this match, but just not quite enough for Penelope Ford. She hit the Fisherman Buster finish just under 5 minutes. Solid match for these two, and excited to see where they also end up in the women's tag team tournament, who they end up partnering with. This didn't seem like necessarily it was going to be a rivals turned friends type situation here, but they could certainly clash again when the tournament kicks up. Next match, we had the returning Aaron Solo taking on Wardlow. We haven't seen Wardlow in action, I think, since the tag match at Fyter Fest with the Jurassic Express, where he lost with his boss and tag partner MJF. So nice to see Wardlow looking strong here. This was the first of the squash matches that we got tonight. Aaron Solo, again, the commentary certainly get him over for being an experienced athlete. Excited to see him helping out the enhancement guys here on Dark. But he didn't get a ton of offense in this match. He tried his best to sort of use his speed on Wardlow, but it just wasn't quite enough. Wardlow looking absolutely devastating, setting him up on the second rope, dropping him down for a devastating flying knee strike that led to a KO finish, which I think was one of the first we've seen in AEW, where the ref just called it straight from the guy not getting up off the ground. Makes Wardlow look just like tough as hell. So excited to see that from Wardlow. He hit 2 devastating F10s afterwards to just really toss this guy around and show his dominance here, and that he's really ready for that next step and potentially the rematch with Jurassic Express when the time comes. So we'll have to see about that. More stuff setting up for Dynamite coming up next, when we had the Dark Order taking on Best Friends. Now, this was different Dark Order members. Of course, earlier I should have mentioned it. It was Evil Uno and Grayson, who are going for the tag belts, so that's who was competing there. But this iteration is Reynolds and Silver, the other two, I believe 3 and 4 from the Dark Order. And the big story in this match was just how hungry they were for the win. If you've been following their story on BTE, these two are certainly the weakest links, it seems, on the Dark Order's sort of strand right now, and they certainly want to impress Mr. Brody, and they did what they could to do so in this match. The Best Friends were really hard hitting early on, but not quite enough to put them away at the start. And then the Dark Order, especially Silver, really bringing it to these two. He looks really strong. These were some of the first kind of enhancement guys we got like over a year ago, and it's great to see how they've evolved. Excited to see what happens next for Dark Order's characters and the progression of that faction. Silver looking strong, but not quite enough. Got caught with the awful waffle from the Kentucky Gentleman, Chuck Taylor. Nice to see him getting the win here too. It's usually Chuck the one looking strong. So nice to see Chuck getting the big win here for the team. A 9-minute match, about the second longest match that we had of the whole night, due to some being squashes and then the usual sort of 5. So nice sort of match here from the Best Friends, looking strong, again getting some wins, especially leading into their big 10-man tag, which they talked a lot about with the Inner Circle that's happening also on Dynamite. So looking strong, looking ready, and excited to see what happens with them next. Next up, also, we had Frankie Thomas taking on Lance Archer, and once again, another squash match, which is to be expected when you see Lance Archer. I'd like to go back and double check, but I think Frankie Thomas is the guy that Lance put through the ceiling last week in the great promo that he had on Dynamite, which I think is a perfect sort of transition into this match. Classic Lance kind of coming out carrying an enhancement guy, pancaking him on the ramp, just looking nasty as hell. Like I said, a squash match here, the real sort of cat and mouse storyline early on with Frankie trying to get away and weasel his way out of some of Lance's bigger moves. Lance looking really devastating on the outside, though, attacking him as well as crowd members. He's just sort of too angry to control at this point. Frankie managed to weasel out of a few finishes, but Lance eventually caught him with a real big choke slam, which then led to the EBD claw. Put him away at 3.5 minutes here. Lance looking strong, looking devastating. Hope to get him into a bigger sort of feud coming up soon. I think they just sort of got to figure out where he fits best in the stories and stuff like that. I think that down the road, once we've sort of panned out with some other stuff, we get to maybe see another Ignite for Lance Archer, and I'll be excited to see that. So up next, we had Serpentico taking on Orange Cassidy. This was the real Serpentico this time, not what we were teased with last week on Dynamite when it was the surprise return of Sammy Guevara. Serpentico looking strong here with Cassidy, having a real fun sort of lucha match, but it was really the kind of classic Orange that we haven't seen as much in a while, where he really was sort of really using the sloth style, hands in the pockets, kip ups, the taunting and those kind of things. Sort of a real classic Cassidy matchup here. Caught him quick with a roll up and then a Superman punch afterwards, but solid 3-minute match, making Orange look really, really strong, getting ready for the Best Friends Orange Cassidy match with Jurassic Express when they take on the Inner Circle on Dynamite. So maybe he will get some revenge on Chris Jericho in the ring. We'll have to wait and see. So up next, we had the returning Sammy Guevara taking on Fuego del Sol. This was Fuego's first singles match, I believe. We've seen him compete with his tag partner, Lowride, before in the tag division. So interesting to see what he could do in a singles competition. I think Sammy works really well with lucha guys. He's got a lot of experience from AAA, can show a little more fast pace. The story here, definitely a little bit of the shaking the rust off for Sammy not being in the ring for about a month or so from the time that he had to take away there from the suspension and stuff. So, but I mean, he was hitting on all cylinders as well. He cocky as ever, really not letting the Fuego get a ton of offense, and really devastating win here for Sammy. It was 5:15. He hit him with a GTH twice, actually, or no, he hit Lowride with it after, but yeah, devastating GTH finish. Went after Lowride after, hit him with it too, looking really strong. Also going into this 10-man tag match. I think when I get to the main event next, those were the two things that seemed to be the big focus here on Dark, was getting the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, as well as Sammy Guevara, and inevitably the Santana and Ortiz really over and getting some wins for the match coming up on Dynamite. So we will. I'll jump to that next here, as we had SCU taking on Santana and Ortiz and Private Party in a triple threat tag team match, really trying to show who's the kind of top of the mountain here in the tag division that aren't the number one contenders, or FTR and the Young Bucks, trying to find another sort of standout here. I believe, other than on BTE, this might be the first television appearance of Money Matt. I'm not sure if we've actually had that iteration of Matt Hardy yet. So I personally, I'm totally on board for this split personality version of Matt Hardy. I think he just kind of needs to get the kinks of it down, kind of worked out, the quirks sort of finely tuned. But if it's going to be these like 5 or 6 personalities that he has that he can jump between, and they're very defined characters, this will be fun to see, and how they the different characters sort of play off the people. So he was giving different kind of advice to Private Party in this match, not what they were sort of used to from more the Doc Hendricks, Matt Hardy. So maybe that was their downside. They certainly went for their sort of high fly, fast paced moves, but not quite enough to get them a win. This was a really, really fun match, a fun main event. Went about 11 minutes, solid kind of main event you want to see here on Dark. This felt like a Dynamite opener, one of those kind of real fast-paced things we're going to get. I feel like the only criticism I'd really have was I think the crowd was getting a little tired. They'd certainly been through, obviously 12 matches if they had filmed them that night or throughout the day and that kind of thing. It can be a little, you've run the gamut a little bit, right? And they certainly seem like the energy wasn't quite there, especially for a main event. So maybe that just timing wise, if they had filmed it maybe a little earlier, had a few more people out there or something, just to really, it needed that energy, because the action in the ring certainly had it, but the crowd just not quite able to play off the action in ring as well. But don't let that take away. This was definitely probably the best match on the entire card. So highly worth checking out. And like I said, I think the biggest story coming out of it was Santana and Ortiz looking really strong. They needed a big win for sure. SCU and Private Party could take a loss here and not be too devastated at all. Santana and Ortiz entering into a big feud and that kind of thing, it's really good to keep them top caliber here in the tag division. Lots of all over the stuff in this, as you would expect, sort of tornado style, with the guys kind of coming in and out. They were making tags though, so it wasn't tornado tag rules, but just a lot of fun, especially what you would expect from a triple tag team match, especially in AEW. And hey, what a great way to end the match than with a low blow here on LowBlowRadio podcast. I believe it was Ortiz that had hit one of the Private Party guys with the Mad Ball and then rolled him up for the finish. I'm going to say not a big, strong, heavy win for them, but showed that they're willing to go that extra mile, kind of do what Private Party maybe weren't willing to do to get the win here. So yeah, happy to see them getting a win. Excited to see what happens on Dynamite tomorrow. I will be bringing you a blow-by-blow for that show as well. So yeah, excited to do that. And I'll be back here on Low Blow Radio podcast to talk about AEW Dynamite tomorrow. So if you've been listening, thank you for listening. If you're here on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Jump into the comments. Let me know if you enjoy these bonus episodes. You can also listen to Chris and I on the radio, 887 The River. If you are in Ontario, our show is Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Every week. We discuss the same kind of wrestling and MMA stuff there if you were curious to hear more of us. As well, the podcast feed for Low Blow Radio podcast is available on Sounder, as well as hopefully Google Play and iTunes eventually soon. So all those podcast formats, keep your eyes out. And I always try to keep links in the bio, so check that out too. All right, everybody, I'll be back for another blow by blow tomorrow, and probably another bonus edition next week. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Now we're